Followed the instructions on the bathroom stall. It was the greatest mistake of my life. The writing on the bathroom walls said, "Follow the arrows." I assumed it was some stupid game, but I never could have guessed the horrifying reality of what I'd just gotten myself into. I looked around after reading the writing, but I didn't see any arrows. Whatever, I didn't think about it. I brushed it off as nothing, until just 1 month later, when I saw it again. I went back to that same restaurant and wanted to use the restroom to wash my hands before I ate food. Entering this bathroom would turn out to be my biggest mistake. After washing my hands and seeing they were out of paper towels, I tried opening the restroom door with my elbows so that I wouldn't get my hands dirty again. This was a clumsy process and resulted in my bumping a light switch with my elbow. The room went completely dark. That's when I first saw it. On the ceiling, I noticed a trail of glow in the dark arrows painted onto the ceiling. They were very, very faded looking, like they'd been there for quite a while. They led out the door now. I had totally forgotten about the graffiti I had read a month ago, so I didn't really think about those arrows at all. I just pulled my sleeve over my wet hand, used it to flip the switch back on and open the door. It wasn't until the end of the evening when my brain, out of nowhere, remembered the "Follow the Arrows" graffiti in the bathroom stall. I excused myself from the table just to check that it was this stall where I saw the writing. It was. Now I had a mystery. I wanted to follow the arrows, but I couldn't. After I left the restroom, the ambient light was so bright that the arrows were invisible. I told my friends about the arrows and asked the bartender about it. He knew about the graffiti, but had never seen the glow in the dark arrows. He must have thought I was insane. After about 15 minutes of pouring drinks, he took a minute to go check it out. He didn't seem that impressed. I asked him if we could stay after closing and turn off all the lights to see where it went. He said yes. Flash forward 2 hours. The bartender and some of the waitresses are all standing around in the dark of the bar, looking at little faded arrows that make a trail from the restroom out to the front door. It wasn't just me that saw them. We step outside, but the trail is dead. The street lights outside make the faded glow in the dark arrows impossible to see, but this wouldn't stop me. I now wish I'd just stopped following the signs and left it, but it was too late. I'd let my curiosity get the better of me. 3 days later, I'm in the geology building at my college when I noticed a display of exotic minerals that the department had in a display case. Inside the case is a small handheld black light used by rockhounds to find and observe glow-in-the-dark minerals. After the class, I asked the professor if I could borrow it. He said yes, but that if I break it, I owe the department $45. Later that evening, I dragged my buddies back to the bar. We had some more drinks and awesome buffalo wings until it was dark. That was when it was time. I went to the bathroom and tested my black light on some of the painted arrows. It worked like a charm. They glowed incredibly brightly, and even with the lights on, they were fairly visible. I went back to the table. We pay our tab and step onto the street. My friends stood around me, trying to look cool while I was geeking out with my black light, searching for invisible arrows on the ground. I found one. I followed the arrow, keeping my black light inches from the ground, waving it back and forth 5 feet away. I found another arrow, then another, and another. Still, now we were going somewhere. The further we got, the more anxious I was feeling. What if this led to something bad, something dangerous? But it was too late to turn back now. I needed to know. I was following these arrows down a sidewalk for about 2 blocks. My friends finally loosened up and started speculating on where these arrows were taking us. Finally, I got to an arrow pointing us in a new direction. It was a driveway leading to an empty commercial lot of some kind. The lot was surrounded by cyclone fences with aluminum siding, so we couldn't see what was inside. The arrows led us around the fence to a gate. I saw a lot of glow in the dark paint under my light, and it took me a few seconds and some swinging of the light to realize we were looking at a giant arrow pointing inside the fence, I guess. My friend Jeff pushed on the gate. It was locked, so we all forced ourselves over the top of the gate into the inky blackness on the other side with no streetlights. I pulled out my light and quickly found an arrow. We followed a new trail slowly, and it quickly became clear that we were being led to a small shack in the middle of the parking lot. I wish we turned around at this point. Maybe we would have gone home that night. "I know what this is," said my other friend Dave. "I think this all used to be a drive-in movie theater with recording studios. I think that is the concession stand, and apparently some YouTubers use this area to film videos." Jeff and I agreed that this was a pretty good theory. We walked to the building and as we got closer, saw that it was boarded up. But the shape of it and its enormous plyboard-covered windows made us think that Dave was probably right. I scanned the ground with my black light for more arrows and found none. Dave shrugged. "So what? The arrows used to lure people to buy popcorn? Looks like Jeff said it." We walked around the building until we came to a door in the back. It was secured by an old combination padlock. My black light hung from a tie on my wrist. I thought I had shut it off now that our mystery was solved, but out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of glowing paint. I aimed my light at it. "Whoa," said Dave. There on the door in sharp new glowing paint was scrawled 1356. Holding the black light close, we quickly rotated the wheels on the lock. Jeff pulled it open and peeked inside. "I can't see anything," he said. I looked inside the door, shining my black light. It was useless. I cursed myself for not bringing a real flashlight. A black light and a cell phone were not enough to explore in there. "It's useless," I said as I pulled back from the door. Dave took his turn, peering in. Just as I was about to suggest we head back to return another day, I heard a click and a dim light appeared within the building. "Holy crap," said Dave. I flipped the light switch, but I never thought in a million years that it would work. Jeff said, "Yeah, this place looks like it's been out of use for like 30 years at least. Look at this parking lot. There are trees in it. Someone's still paying the bills," I said. In hindsight, this should have tipped us off that something wasn't right. But in the moment we headed into the building, we walked in and saw a surprisingly clean concession stand interior. There was a thin coating of that strange sort of dust that accumulates in the absence of people, the sort of dust you would expect to find in an ancient tomb. Before I could examine further, Jeff said, "Dudes, check this out." He was standing over a hatch in the floor. He'd pulled it up and was peering into the dark. Maybe there's another light down there. He bounded down a set of steps into the cellar. Dave and I followed close behind, trying to find a switch along the way. If I hadn't been in such a hurry to keep up with Jeff, I might have noticed that the black light I had dropped was illuminating some more glowing paint. And if I had noticed that, I might also have noticed that the paint made an arrow, was pointing directly towards this basement hatch, along with some sort of logo. And if I had noticed that, it might have given me pause. But I did not notice these things. I was halfway to the bottom of the stairs when I heard a click. My eyes were immediately drawn to a glow in the corner of the basement. Jeff said, "Found it." We walked toward the light, bumping into empty shelves and some strange debris along the way. We all jumped when we heard it. There was a whirring sound, very loud, coming from near the stairs. Dave and Jeff had comical, frightened expressions on their faces. I probably looked the same. At last the sound stopped. We stood still for a moment, our hearts beating hard in our chests. Then, as if awakening from a trance, we all ran over to the hatch to investigate. My mind could not comprehend what I saw. Was the ceiling upstairs covered in black stripes? No. My eyes finally understood. The hatch we had just come down moments ago was now by iron bars. We were trapped. My heart sank as I grasped the reality of our situation. I shook the iron bars frantically, but they didn't budge. Dave and Jeff searched the basement, looking for any other exits or something we could use to break open the gate. But there was nothing. "Do you hear that?" Jeff said suddenly. A soft, trickling sound was coming from the corner. I shone my blacklight over and noticed water starting to pour in through a small crack in the wall. "The room, it's filling with water," I exclaimed. We rushed over, but the force of the water was too strong to stop it. Within seconds, the stream had widened into a steady flow. "We need to break this wall down now!" Dave yelled. We frantically looked around for anything to smash against the bricks. Jeff grabbed one of the canvas sacks, now soaked with water, and hurled it at the wall with all his might. It hit with a wet thwack but barely made a dent. The icy water swirled around our feet now. I spotted a rusty pipe leaning against the shelves, and we took turns ramming it into the wall with no success. We were running out of time. The water had already risen to our knees. Desperate, we threw our bodies against the wall, clawing at the bricks until our fingers bled. But it was useless. The water reached our chests, and my heart raced as panic consumed me. The cold was unbearable, and I could feel my strength dwindling with every passing second. Just when hope seemed lost, we heard a faint sound, almost like a muffled scream from above. "Someone's up there," Dave yelled, hope returning to his eyes. I looked up and through the dim light, and there, through the bars of the hatch, I could make out the silhouette of a figure. It wasn't moving, just watching us. A glint of something metallic caught my eye. It was holding something. "We're down here, help us!" Jeff shouted, his voice echoing in the rapidly filling chamber. A wicked smile spread across their face, their eyes reflecting the terror they reveled in. "Thanks for entering my challenge. Now we just need to determine a winner." My heart sank. That was when I realized only one of us was going to be leaving here. I saw the man turn away from the iron bars and towards what looked like a camera. That's when I heard it. I trapped 3 of my subscribers in a room, and in 2 minutes it's going to be completely filled with water. I knew that voice from anywhere. It was Jimmy, Mr. Beast. We were his next victims. Last to stop breathing wins $100,000. "Yay, Jimmy, let's go!" I heard being screamed across the room from Chris. We were in pure panic as we looked at each other, knowing there was no hope in escaping this pure, evil man. My 2 best friends, and only one of us, was going to survive. "Take a Feastables bar. It will make it easier," Jimmy shouted at us.